Hello and welcome to another episode of PsycKicks. My name's Liv. This is M. M, say hi.
Yo.
And today we are going to be answering as psychic mediums questions that we've gotten from people on Instagram because I think it's going to be fun. I picked a whole bunch of they're not controversial, but they're ones that aren't things that I feel like we easily talk about all the time. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. But there's a couple interesting ones in here that I'm excited to talk about. But if you're new to the podcast, like I said, Em and I are psychic mediums. This is what we do. This is our podcast. We're your sidekicks to all things metaphysical. So we're going to answer these questions. It's going to be a good time. Buckle in. You ready for the first one? Because this one's very much for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know nothing about no demons. If the 7 highest / strongest demons are fallen angels, where do the lower ranked demons come from?
Ask that again.
If the 7 highest / strongest demons are fallen angels, where did the lower ranked demons come from?
Well, there's more than 7, and those are, I think you're referring to as archangels. So there's a difference between a daemon and a demon. Demons don't really have very much consciousness. So, though, I don't know, the ones that are angels are ones that are more fully formed, because I think we as human beings are angels as well, and we are the lower level aspect of that, or most of us are. So I'm not sure what the question is.
They just wanted to know where the lower ranked demons come from. If they
come from lower vibrational energy. I feel like they become an angel when they have more energy in general.
Like an archangel?
Well, there's a level below archangel, which is just angel. Like, we are just angels, but they need to have enough of a consciousness to do that, because there's some things, it's like Jujutsu Kaisen, where the curses say the same thing over and over and over again. I wouldn't consider that a fully formed being.
So you think the lower demonic entities come from people's thoughts and emotions? Or perceptions about negative things?
Well, it comes from negative energy, not necessarily from people.
Okay, got it.
What do you think?
I think the smaller demons come from people's negative energy, or just negative energy in general, because they start to manifest and coagulate. So if you have negative energy about something, and there's negative energy being given off by something or someone else, whether it's from the same person or not, or a collective thought or idea about something, the associated or positive, negative, attracting things. So if you have a negative feeling about something, even if you're a person, and then associated negative things being given off or put into action, it can coagulate into a more energetic being. But I don't think it would have sentience unless you really put a lot of hoopla into it.
Mm-hmm.
So, cool. The next question. Is there a reason you have a certain spirit guide and not another?
These are the ones that are tied to your soul's energy. So, generally, they are pulled in towards you when you incarnate, because of the things that they do are going to help you on your journey. So, I believe a lot of these spirit guides that you have are specifically things, beings, people that you've met in your past lives, because you, again, were naturally drawn together to do a certain thing. So now you are doing it more in an energetic sense and not just a physical sense.
Say that again?
Your spirit guides are drawn to you because they have some sort of energy that you need in your life to guide you on your journey. So you generally in your past lives will also run into them. So a lot of your spirit guides are people, beings, whatever, from your past lives. They also have just energetically been drawn to you physically.
Oh, in this physical life.
In your past lives.
Okay. My answer to the question, I guess, is similar. You as a soul knew, whether it be from a past life or just energetically in spirit, your spirit guides. It's why you picked them, because they are going to give you aspects that you need or exemplify certain aspects that you have within yourself to bring them about and help you on your journey in this physical life. Sometimes spirit guides will be the opposite of what you feel like you are now. For example, yellow spirit guides for me doesn't mean that they're actually yellow. It just conveys to me that they help you with what I associate as a medium, what yellow means, which is going to be like outgoing, emotional intelligence, expressions of yourself, whether it be verbally, physically, emotionally, whatever. And if I'm talking to someone who isn't that, it's because this spirit guide is stepping forward to be like, no, you can be this because I know you can, and I'm going to help you. And you can also have spirit guides that are similar to your personality as well, but not all the time, because again, they're here to help you be well balanced and establish yourself in this physical existence and learn the things that you want to, are supposed to, whatever you feel. So you choose them, and like I'm said, they're drawn to you. So yeah, it's pretty cute. The next question is it possible to communicate with a soul in the same way I communicate with my spirit guides?
Yes. I don't think there's a difference.
I don't think there's a difference either, except for that your spirit guides are associated to you, whereas souls aren't.
Well, I feel like certain souls would be. Some
Yeah,
of them not, but
they can be. But I mean, like from a psychic medium standpoint of like, I'm talking to someone that I've never met's grandfather. He's not associated to me, but my spirit guides are associated to me. So I feel like the communication aspect is going to be different. Not in how you communicate with them using your psychic abilities, your clairs, but just that they're not associated or connected with you. Next question is, are deceased family members always around?
Yes. Depending on what you need, they will be there for you. Similar to how they would be probably in the physical, but depends on the person, I guess.
I wanted to answer that similarly too, but when I was writing this down, one of my spirit guides, past loved one spirits, sometimes I want to say spirit in general, sometimes I get answers and it's not from one single person and it's not necessarily claircognizant, but it feels like it's just an answer from spirit. And when I was writing this question down earlier to read to you all, I was like, I feel like people would think about this in a more physical way of like, are my past loved ones always watching me? Are they always present and like, at the forefront of their mind or consciousness? And like Em said, yes, they can be, but it's important to understand that if you're new to the podcast and if you haven't heard this yet, we have our 5 physical senses when we're alive so that we don't like walk into walls, step on Legos, and can like taste really good pie. But when we pass, since we're no longer in a physical world, we're just energetic. We don't need those physical senses. So we gain the ability to know, see, hear, and feel everything. So imagine if you could just perceive everything that you need to or want to without necessarily having to be somewhere, because technically you are there because there is no separation. That is more so what the spirit of your past loved ones is doing. They can put more energy towards you, which would be like associated or being next to you, but they don't necessarily have to because they are always there because they know everything. And I thought that was kind of cool because I was like, I wouldn't have said that earlier. The next question is it fit to say that the more past lives you've lived, the more intuitive you are?
No. The reason why I say that is there's a lot of people that their lives, they create more and more ego. So one of the things that I've seen as a medium is the more lives you have as human, the more you reflect those characteristics back. And humans have a lot of egotistical things in order to fit into society and just fit in general. So that can create more being blinded by your intuition. So it's not necessarily the more lives equal the more intuitive you are. It's how those lives play out for you.
I think I could agree with that. I don't think just because you have a lot of human past lives, though, that you would create a really big sense of ego, because there are certain types of people that don't have ego.
Yeah, that's just an example.
Got it. Next question. Can people meet their past selves in the dream world?
Yes.
How so?
I don't know. You can have flashbacks of your past lives. You can talk to your parallels of yourself, your past lives of yourself, as if they are separated from your existence, and ask them questions about things. Like, I don't know, same way that you would talk to like other souls, you can talk to other souls of yourself or other like lives, incarnations of yourself.
I was just asking them because when I was writing this down earlier, I was like, I wonder if that's true because so many people ask me, they're like, you're a medium. Do you have dreams about people all the time? I'm like, not in the way that you probably think. So I don't think so. I've never like dreamt of a past loved one specifically. I have.
Were we talking about past loved ones or past selves?
I think past selves, but also
Yeah.
past loved ones. I don't know. I'm kind of like putting it all in the lump sum. But yeah, no, you're right. The question is, can you meet their past selves in the dream world?
Yep.
I guess so. I have to think about it from like the dreamscape idea of you have your creative consciousness and your subconscious, and the dream realm is like your subconscious, but it still is a higher realm of thinking. So I guess it could like overlap and have adjacent parallels for places where your past selves and stuff could line up. And we've talked about a whole bunch of people that have had dreams about their past lives. So in our listener stories.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I mean, I have had dreams in my past lives.
Mm-hmm. No,
Multiple times.
the answer is yes. I just wanted to think about it out loud because I haven't actually like, thought about
Yeah, I'm one of those people.
it. All right, next question. What are your thoughts on Reiki? Have either of you ever had a Reiki session?
I have not had a Reiki session, but Reiki is using energy in order to move energy through people. So we like to talk about it as it's kind of like the spiritual version of a chiropractor. They like put things where it's supposed to put, like where it's supposed to go, that sort of thing. But at the same time, if you still have the like problem in your body of like cluttering energy, or you just have like some sort of anatomical thing, as if you were going to like a chiropractor, some sort of anatomical thing that makes your back hurt, your back is still going to hurt because going to the chiropractor isn't curing it, it's treating it. So I feel like Reiki treats the energetic ailments that you might have, but fixing it is a different issue. It's just helping to move the energy so that it makes it easier for you to feel better.
I think I agree with that. I don't know a lot about Reiki. I actually just wrote a post for Patreon. So if you're interested in reading that post, check out Patreon in the show notes below. But my friend did Reiki on my pony because he's currently suffering from Cushing's disease. And I'm skeptical about Reiki because people make it seem like you can fix physical ailments with energy. And I'm like, I agree with you can help the energy around it, but I don't know. I'm skeptical, but I'm definitely super interested in it. I would like to learn more and not be so in the dark about it. But no, I've never actually had a Reiki session, but my pony has. Final answer. Next question is, what is in the inside of a black hole? Can you communicate with stars/black holes?
Black holes are like nothingness. So, I don't know. The inside of a black hole is nothingness. It's like a solid rod. Things can't usually pass through it. The only thing that I have seen or heard that has gone quote unquote through a black hole are things that are associated to black holes that can make their energy go to zero. So I talked to this person that has the association to black holes, and they can drop their energy in order to be able to like walk on the outside edge of a black hole to go to wherever it goes to. Because Einstein has talked about black holes in the sense, and when I say Einstein has talked about it, I feel like he's talked about it physically, but I also asked him questions in spirit about it. And he says that black holes are similar to vortexes in the sense of, because they are so high in gravity, they are able to manipulate time and space due to time dilation and general relativity. So because of that, they would be able to cause like holes in the time and space. They change the fabric of time and space to make time react differently. So theoretically, you should be able to use it like a portal. What's the other question?
Can you communicate with stars or black holes?
Technically, we would be able to communicate with both, but black holes are hard to talk to. Stars have a lot of things associated to them. It's not just the celestial being. I feel like there's a lot of things that make up stars, and then there's a lot of things that take care of stars, like fae beings and things like that, and different nature spirits that deal with stars. They're too big to be just like one thing, but I also feel like there's different ideas and like theories about stars being like the higher ranks of angels and stuff like that. So, yeah.
That's cute. I like that last idea. I do disagree with the fact that black holes are nothing, though. I think the opposite. I think they're everything, which is why they're crushing. It's like taking a giant, I don't know, like a giant weight and just letting it sit down so much so that it starts to implode in on itself and brings everything else with it. So I think it's not nothing. I think it's too much of everything, which is why it's so crushing. So what is on the inside of a black hole? I think a lot of things can be drawn into it, but at the end of it, there's everything and nothing because you've taken everything and squished it. It's like if you were to take an orange and just, you know, like those high pressure videos that people like to watch, which is like the hydraulic press, and it just takes like a watermelon or an orange and just absolutely squishes it into an oblivion.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that, but times 1,000. So like if you take an orange and put it into something like that, is it an orange anymore? I don't know. Like almost like a space-time chemical reaction. You can't undo something that goes into a black hole. It just continues to get bigger and become more of everything. And then communicating with stars or black holes, I don't think I've ever tried to communicate with a black hole. But I have talked to people that have past lives that are associated to stars. And that goes back to like what Em was talking about in our last podcast about people's soul themes of like what it is that their soul does. It has like a trend or something that in your lives you always sort of evoke in each life, whether it be communication, helpfulness, stuff like that, change. I've talked to people with past lives that have had past lives as stars, and it's usually because their soul is created or has the theme of light. And then in their next incarnations, they deal with light in different ways. So, for example, someone had a past life as a star, and then they had an incarnation as light and an incarnation as a fae being that helped with photosynthesis, specifically for chlorophyll in plants, because those all deal with light. And I was like, oh, wow, it's like the evolution of a soul. And it was really cute. Okay, next one is a little bit off the wall. So put on your mediumship hat more tightly fastened to let me know if you know anything about this. But what's the deal with the casual plane? Do you know what the casual plane is? Or do your spirit guides tell you about what it is?
I don't know. They just make me feel like the casual plane is like on the other side of the veil.
That makes sense. So it's just a weird terminology, and I will put a source to Wikipedia if you want to like create your own rabbit hole about this. But the casual plane is literally just another person's term or group of people's terminology to talk about like a higher spiritual existence that could be equatable to heaven or spirit.
Interesting. Why is it the casual plane?
I have no idea. There's certain groups of like occultists, per Wikipedia's terminology, and other religious or spiritual groups that call heaven or spirit, quote unquote, the casual plane.
Well, I don't know what that means, but my spirit guides say you have to be at a certain frequency to be on that because they show me a graph and there's like a line on the graph.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's frequency lines going up and down.
Mm-hmm.
So, whatever that means.
Yeah. If you want to learn more, there's going to be a link to Wikipedia below so you can create your own hyperfixation about it, because I started to do that and I was like, no, I have to stay on task because it was going to turn into one of those things. So, can an old imaginary friend from my childhood possibly be one of my spirit guides?
Not in the same way that you think. the way that I view it is your friend, because they are physically existing with you, would not be able to be there with you for your entire life. However, they can have another incarnation or past life, future life, whatever, being your spirit guide. So they would live two lives that coincide with each other that happen at the same time.
So you think someone's imaginary friend is a physical?
Well, I thought you said their actual friend.
No, imaginary friend. Because I was like,
Oh.
wait, you're talking about someone physical. I'm confused.
Yeah, I thought you said their childhood friend.
Oh, childhood imaginary friend.
Oh, I didn't get the imaginary.
No, that's
So,
okay.
Their imaginary friend can be your spirit guide, and you're just perceiving them. Because when I was a child, my imaginary friend was Roth.
Mm-hmm. Which I think is adorable. So, and I've had spirit guides tell me things like that too, to get the person that I'm talking to understand, like, I've been here forever. And it's just adorable. And M was actually the first person that I did that for with Sarath. So, okay. Next question is, how do you raise or lower your vibration like a radio station? Because that's something I talk about, but how do you raise or lower your vibration, M, in order to communicate or connect with different spirits?
If you do it physically, it will happen more energetically. So if you try to slow down your thinking, slow down your body, it will happen on an energetic base. So if you want to talk to spirit, you need to remove all of the anxiety, fear, worry, overthinking. So you need to calm your thoughts and almost like zone out in order to communicate with souls. To change the frequency, it's going to be based upon you specifically. So for me, it's easier to talk to souls when I'm in a transient like state. So the more flatlined I can be, the easier it is for souls to manipulate my energy to communicate with me. But if I am more conscious, it's more like my energy goes up and down, and it's harder for them to interact with it. But it's going to be based upon who you are as a person. You maybe have the opposite problem. So it's about figuring out your energy and what you normally do. So for me, I'm very anxious. I'm very worried about everything. So in order to counteract that, in order to quote unquote change the radio station, I need to be able to have more control over the anxiety. But if you have the opposite problem and you're understimulated, you need to have more of the stimulating thoughts. So maybe you do more meditation and stuff like that and do more creative things. So it just depends on who you are.
It does depend on who you are and how your gifts work. For me, I don't know. It is important, like Em said, to understand what sort of energy state you naturally vibrate at. And you can try and figure that out with a lot of different ways. If you're clairaudient, you could maybe hear it. If you're clairsentient, you could maybe feel it. If you're clairvoyant, maybe they'll show you something, your spirit guides, to figure out where you are on that radio station to lower or raise your vibration or frequency to talk to certain souls or beings. For me, when I was writing this question down, one of the things that my spirit guides told me that might be able to help someone, if you're very clairvoyant, is to figure out, it's kind of like, energetically speaking, if you were to be looking at a picture or a painting, usually older pictures or paintings, or pictures and paintings in general, of like a landscape, for example, have layers to it. You have the foreground, the medial ground, the background, the horizon, things like that. So depending on where you feel the solar spirit that you're talking to would reside in that, I don't know, spiritual landscape of frequency, it would explain, is where you're going to try and focus or put your energy at. So if you wanted to look at the people in the foreground of the picture, you're going to sort of lower your vibration to fit that sort of area or landscape spiritually. And if you want to look at the horizon of the picture in the background, you're going to raise your vibration or frequency to focus or channel the souls or spirits that would be found in that area. I hope that makes sense for like the clairvoyant people. But if you are more clairsentient or clairaudient, they tell me that it's like, when you're humming in like music class or trying to get the right pitch, one person has one pitch that they're humming, say like an arpeggio, and you're on the bottom of the arpeggio, but they're up, you're going to have to raise or lower your vibration or frequency to match whatever note or pitch that they're hitting. So I hope that helps for a couple different people if that's how you can help envision or visualize this, since you're just trying to envision energy, which you can't necessarily do. But I hope that helps, because that, I guess, is what I do. Because if I'm talking to people, I set my channel to talking to human souls. If I'm talking to energetic beings that are a little bit different, say like fae beings, animals, plants, stuff like that, you sort of have to fine tune it to a channel that's a little bit in between. So I hope that answers a question or helps someone figure out how to do that. Next question, it's similar to the casual plane one, but someone asked, what are the animas of purgatory? And to help you out, animas of purgatory, the full name that you can look, and I'll put a source below in the show notes too if you want to create a rabbit hole for yourself of this, is anima sola. So anima sola is Latin and it translates to lonely soul. So do you know what these anima solas are?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't
You're
know.
just talking about purgatory?
No, not necessarily. Get rid of the word purgatory and just what do your spirit guides tell you what anima solas are?
Are you talking about souls that separate themselves?
Maybe. What do they say?
What do they say to you?
I looked it up. So anima solas of purgatory are, like sometimes in like Italy or Spain, you'll see in like an indent or receding aspect of a wall on a building, there's like a picture of, or not a picture, a carving or statue of a person that looks like they're really sad. Have you ever seen one of those?
No.
They almost look like the Mother Mary, but not. It's someone else, and it's just like a recessed sculpture in a wall of a building.
Okay.
It's basically figures of souls lost in purgatory. And someone just wanted us to talk about it.
So they're souls lost in purgatory.
Yes, but they're not like certain people. They're not like angels. They're not like figures that people would know about unless you're of a certain religion. Otherwise, it's a woman or a man, depending on.
So they're famous people stuck in... I don't know what the difference is. Because, like, I don't know, with purgatory, I believe in a purgatory, but it's not in the way that people think. People think that purgatory means that they are, like, judged and then figured out if they're supposed to go to heaven or hell, but that's not what purgatory is for me. Purgatory is usually in relation to how the soul's ego is when they pass. So when you die, you have to go through this, like, you have to go through kind of like a life review and figure out what you did in this life and accept all the things that have happened. This is why it happened, all of that stuff. But you also have the choice to not do that. And sometimes it happens for people that like die suddenly, or it happens to people that feel almost like they lost themselves in existence. So their ego blinds them from the ability to become a part of collective again, become not on this separated plane in their own like ideas. So if they feel, I'm a really bad person, I don't belong in heaven, they may feel almost like quote unquote stuck in a place. Is that what you're talking about?
No, but that's okay. It kind of goes with what we're talking about a little bit. So anima sola is based on Roman Catholic tradition, and it is a lonely soul, which is depicted in an image of a soul in purgatory. It's popular in Latin America as well as Andalusia, Naples, and Palermo. And it's it's just like these sculptures reset in walls of souls that look like they're in purgatory, and people use them for a lot of different reasons. One story is that when Jesus was being crucified, there was two other men on crosses too, and this specific woman was supposed to each give them a drink of water, and she decided not to give Jesus a drink of water. So they're like, this specific woman is in purgatory and she's going to be thirsty for the rest of her life. But a lot of times,
Yeah, that's what I was talking about with people think that purgatory is you're being judged between like going to heaven versus hell.
Yeah, but they just wanted to know, like, what is with them? Like, why do people have them? What's the use of them? What do you guys think about them? So that's why I asked the question.
That story specifically is a very humanistic one. That woman is not necessarily in purgatory.
The other story that I read briefly about was there was this priest or monk or someone, and at his last confession, I guess not his confession, but his last sermon or whatever, a whole bunch of people confessed to him, and he gave them, like, I don't know, the Hail Marys or whatever it is, like repentance. And because he gave so many people, I don't know, a pardon spiritually, he now is in hell forever to try and, I don't know, repay for all of the sins that he said that they were going to get off scot-free for. But I don't know. When I was reading this, and again, I'll put the source below so you can go down your own rabbit hole, I felt like people put these statues here to help themselves as like a prayer of like, this is a prayer to all the souls that may be struggling or lost right now because they're not going to be stuck in purgatory, because I myself feel that even if you are lost, you can be found type thing. But that was just my own sort of idea of it, because some people pray to these sculptures and statues, and if I saw something like that, given the little bit that I now know about it, I would be like, well, I'm going to use this to take a second to be present about the people that may be struggling and feel like they're in a purgatory, but they're really not, because there's other people that are here for them. Next question is, what is the distinct difference between claircognizance and intuition?
Intuition is using claircognizance and your other psychic abilities to gain information. So it is the output of what claircognizance gives you.
I would say that intuition is not just claircognizance. It can be all or any combination or single clair psychic ability to give you information about something metaphysically. Claircognizance is just one of your intuitive abilities, whereas intuition can be all of those. Is that what you said in a different way?
Yep.
Okay. So I was like, I don't understand what you're saying. All right. The next one is it harder or easier to communicate with someone who has recently passed?
It's not harder. A lot of times mediums like say they can't talk to someone that's passed recently, and it's because not necessarily why they are having issue, but you may not be ready to talk to someone about it, because time works very differently over on the other side. So they are on the outside of time. They don't necessarily don't have time to talk. So it just depends on if you're ready, if they have something to say, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Being recently passed doesn't make it harder or easier. It's very circumstantial and different for everybody. Last two questions, because I think they're very interesting. Can inanimate objects reincarnate if those objects have memories attached to them? I can read that again if you need to.
Well, those two things don't relate to each other.
I know I had to reread it a couple times. It's, can inanimate objects reincarnate if those objects have memories attached to them? No.
That's not how that works.
No, it's not.
They are energy, so technically they could become souls and whatever, but it's not because there's memories tied to them.
Well, I don't think those objects could become souls, but yeah, they're not going to reincarnate.
Well, they're associated to souls, and they're associated to soul energy.
But that's like if you were to write down memories in a book. Memories are not just associated to one person. Well,
I don't think memories have anything to do with it.
Well,
That's
exactly.
Just residual things from people.
Exactly. Memories exist outside of souls. They're related to them, but they exist outside of them. It would be like I have a memory of a bunny rabbit inside of me. Is that bunny rabbit going to reincarnate because of when I die? No, the bunny rabbit is going to do its own thing because the bunny rabbit's a soul. I don't think memories can constitute a soul. It would be like if you wrote down a college memory in a journal and you're like, is that journal going to reincarnate with those memories?
To Voldemort.
Voldemort. No. But I really liked that question because I was like, okay, I understand where they're going with this, but no. Okay, last one. Could objects becoming sentient be the cause of haunted objects?
I don't know what their question is about. Are they talking about haunted objects, or are they talking about when we talk to houses, or are they talking about, I don't know, personalizing?
So like when I do house readings, and house readings are possible because there's so much energy associated from in a house. So they sort of gain a sentience. They want to know if that sentience gained from other things is that the cause of haunted objects.
Depends on the energy that's put into the house.
Like, do you think it could be like Monster House? Or like Casita from what is that new Disney movie everybody likes?
I don't think it's necessarily the sentience of the house that's like doing it. It's just energy pushing itself around. It's like wind inside of a house. So like poltergeisty activity isn't necessarily from a conscious being.
That's true.
So it can be, a lot of times poltergeists are associated to people that have a lot of like metaphysical energy that is quote unquote negative, that causes like noisy activity. So if you put that into a house, it's like wind blowing things around. Wind doesn't necessarily have a like sentience and is like purposely doing it, but it could cause hauntings in a poltergeisty sort of way.
I don't know. I'm just looking at my elephants that we have in our recording room that we got at the psychic fair we went to a while ago. And I'm like, I don't know. Are you guys haunted? Are you going to try and haunt me and actively haunt my life? But I don't think so. So I don't know. It's just the consciousness of a house accumulated from people's energy constitute the house itself being haunted? No, I don't think so. Or an object.
Well, it would, because it's coming from sentient beings. It's not the house's sentience, it's the being's sentience that put the energy in there. So it can be like a ghost that haunts it, or it can be the poltergeisty energy from someone else that haunts it. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's just separate from the entity or from the physical object itself, though. That's what I'm saying.
But you're also saying that you can do house readings because all of the energy that people put into it makes it sentient.
Yeah.
That's why they're asking that.
Yeah.
So
I just
yes
wouldn't constitute the house as being haunted, though. It just knows about itself because people have given it an idea of itself.
It just depends on what energy goes into it that makes it haunted.
So you think if someone bought a house, brand new, nothing like weird about it, and then was just like, this is a haunted house, it's going to become haunted?
Didn't you do studies about that?
What do you mean?
In our manifestation podcast?
Yes, but the location became haunted with entities separate from the house. But I guess if you try hard enough and the house is there long enough, that the house could, like, you could be like, this house is really good at slamming doors. And then the house just starts slamming doors. So I guess that could happen. Anyways, did you like our questions that we answered? Did we blow your minds? Did we enlighten you? Did we bore you? Let us know. If you're listening to this on the PsycKicks Extras YouTube channel, let us know how you feel below. If you're interested in a reading, we got readings on our website. There's also a link to that in the show notes. Email readings, in-person readings, whatever you'd like. But until next time, I don't know, stay spooky. We are your PsycKicks.
No.